Hi everybody, Life with Aaron with you, and today we are going to go see the USS Cairo, and to do that, we're going to go to the USS Cairo Museum. That's kind of the best place to go, right? Well, it also happens to be a part of the Vicksburg National Battlefield. This ship was actually found back in 1957, and it would first come above the waves around 1960, and after a restoration, it has been here ever since, and it is a truly a sight to behold. It's a little bit windy, so forgive some of the sound, but I think you will enjoy getting up close and personal with one of 7 ironclads that was actually finished for the Navy in 100 days' time. Had they went over the 100 days' time, the manufacturers that produce these would have to pay a $200 a day fine. So they didn't do that. So this ship, as I said, was sunk by a Confederate mine. It only took 12 minutes to go to the bottom. And when they found this ship again in 1957, it was so well preserved, it really shocked the researchers. They discovered it in 57. They later sent down divers to confirm its location. Once confirmed, they realized they had the possibility of bringing the ship up. And let's look at a quick clip of what that was like when the ship first came up.
Historian Edwin C. Barth pinpointed the Cairo's forgotten location. 3 years later, divers confirmed this research. The first evidence revealing its unusually good condition was documented as the pilot house broke the surface in September 1960, followed by the recovery of an 8-inch smoothbore cannon complete with carriage. 1961 and 62 brought more complete surveys confirming a good state of preservation, and including a comprehensive investigation by divers from the New England Naval and Maritime Museum. From the pilot house floor and from silted-in hatches, many well-preserved artifacts were recovered. 100 years rolled back as the Cairo yielded its priceless contents. The Cairo, sinking in 12 minutes, left little time for the crew to save anything.
So now actually 157 years later from when this vessel was created, we can see it again. Pretty impressive. Now, if you notice in the video, they called it the Cairo, and I started off by calling it the Cairo. People interchange that name, but it is named after Cairo or Cairo, Illinois. And because they refer to it as Cairo, we'll do that as well. So the Cairo was part of a fleet called the Brown Water Navy for the Union, and that still is a term used today. It's referred to naval warfare, naval river warfare, or operations that are going to be taking place in where sediment, lots of sediment is drawn up, and where the water is, in effect, brown. So Brown Water Navy. These vessels would play a very important role in the Civil War, and at the Battle of Vicksburg, the Siege of Vicksburg, they had a pretty constant bombardment of the town and of the troops, of course. If any of you saw the Duff Green Mansion, I referred that the Duff Green was hit by gunboats such as the Cairo, and they actually turned the building into a hospital to withstand that, because they had been hit by a few, and finally one cannonball actually came through a bedroom window, and they decided, hey, if we're going to make it through the war, and we can do a good thing by becoming a hospital. It is really awe-inspiring, and you get a sense of what it was like to be aboard these vessels and the engineering that went into these. Now, it's nothing for us to have these gleaming battleships and destroyers. We have state-of-the-art nuclear submarines. But at the time, you have to think of how unorthodox and really how out of this world, and what it was like for these crews to be a part of these vessels. So the other 6 were the Lafayette, the USS Rattler, the Tyler, the Essex, the Indianola, and then finally the Tuscumbia. So the other 6 that made up those 7 ironclads that were delivered in 100 days, let's go inside the museum and take a look at some of the things that were found aboard the ship. And now we're inside the museum. I love the space usage of the museum. It is one of the most compact areas you'll ever see around the Cairo exhibit, and I was just really impressed with what all they got in here. Now, of course, in this particular room, we're talking about the flotilla of the Ironclad, the steam-powered vessels, and really their dominance on the Mississippi River, the importance of taking control of the Mississippi River, and then in turn putting a stranglehold on the Confederacy, really reducing the amount of goods and troops that could be moved from place to place, and as we talked about earlier, cutting the Army in two. Here are some of the items that were preserved and brought up from the USS Cairo, and it's really interesting. It gives you a tremendous insight into what the day-to-day was like for the seamen that were aboard these vessels at the time. Some of the tools that they would use, anchors, pots and pans that were used on the vessel, even down to things like medical equipment, what was on board, what was medicine like at the time, what could be done to help, obviously, your aches, your pains, your broken bones, your bullet wound, all of these things that are par for the course when you are going through these wartime situations. You really got a sense in this museum of what these men went through. And you really got a sense from this military park, all that they went through and really the struggles of these men. There's also a very interesting video that plays here at the museum to give you more of a sense of the Cairo and its crew. And there's a nice gift shop if you want to take home a souvenir, something to remember this site by. All in all, very impressed with this museum. Also, next to the Cairo, an area that you'll surely want to check out is the cemetery here at Vicksburg. Over 19,000 troops are buried here, and it really shows you the true futility of war. So before we call our day in Vicksburg over, we have been recommended a great restaurant to come to not too far from the Def Green. And you see just how close we are to the water, the mighty Mississippi. And the restaurant is a seafood restaurant called Rusty's. Looking forward to it. Service in Rusty's was really good. We didn't have to wait long at all for a table. I think that helped because we got there at a really good time. And Lori, we had the calamari to begin with. I thought it was really good.
Oh, yeah. I think it was some of the best we'd ever had.
And you had the special, which was what?
It was like a red fish or red snapper, I think, with like a crawfish cream sauce. It was delicious.
Very cool. And I had the fried shrimp and a baked potato, because the calamari pretty much filled us up nearly.
Yeah, it did.
And you shared a couple bites of your redfish with me, and all in all, it was very good. So this ends the 4 videos or so I've done on Vicksburg, and I think that you will enjoy a trip here, so definitely come if you get the chance. The people are awesome, and there's a lot to do, and really, we just skim the surface. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great day.